Hey, today I'm looking at Ultimate Spider-Man number 3 and 4 by Marvel Comics. I got the variant covers here. I talked about on previous videos how I didn't like the border very much around the regular covers. Yeah, I've been trying to pick up some of the variant covers. Issue 3 here, this cover is by Mark Bagley. I knew that immediately from looking at it. He's just got that classic style. He's the classic 90s Spider Man artist that took over after Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson left, and had a whole card set they put out where he did all the cards. Uh, really great Spider Man artist. Kind of cartoony style, but real solid. We got an aged up Peter, aged up Mary Jane, and they're married, and Ben Parker is still alive. And the Spider Man suit, too. This is the Ultimate Spider Man costume. It's not very much different from the 616 Spider Man, and we'll get into that here. But Peter and Mary Jane, they got two kids. There's Richard and May. And May already knows that Peter's Spider Man. She found out in the last issue. And Mary Jane's taken Richard off. They've got their own things to do. And so do May and Peter. They're going to create a new Spider Man costume. So we get a few variants here. The colorist, I'm sure, Matthew Wilson, I had some fun doing this. This one looks like Scarlet Spider, but just like reversed. So finally, we get our first real shot of Spider Man in his costume, and he's got May on him. They're swinging through the city. Like I've said on the previous videos, Marco Cicchetto's art here is really great. I love all the line work. He's got lots of details in the background. You know, we know we're here in the city, New York City. We're in an abandoned office building here. J. Jonah Jameson and Ben, they're starting their own paper, and they don't have a name yet still. Peter's coming to check it out. Looks like he brought him a bonsai. And again, the artwork here is great. Just all the expressions on the faces keep changing, panel to panel, easy to read, and lots of detail in the background. We get a whole map here of what J. Jonah Jameson and Ben are trying to figure out here. They got the Kingpin. There's a big conspiracy going on, and they're trying to figure that out. Peter's slowly getting pulled into that. And so here we get some shots of Spidey figuring out what he's going to do. Real great stuff there. And finally, we get some action. Green Goblin. And he's fighting Bullseye. This is the new version of Bullseye, and instead of throwing darts, he's throwing cards like he's Gambit or something. Maybe he is Gambit, who knows? But he's getting chased by the Green Goblin, and so far, all we've seen of the Green Goblin is him trying to blow up Wilson Fisk in a limousine, and then he watched by as Spider-Man fought Shocker. And so we really know nothing about the Green Goblin so far. He's getting into battle here with Bullseye, and Spider-Man hops in, and they tear down the entire construction complex here. Some great pages here. So Goblin is luring Bullseye into a false sense of security here, and Spider-Man just comes and knocks him out. Great action shot there. So kind of a team up here, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, who each other is. And Goblin says, "It's an interesting suit you got there. I bet some people think it's very cool." And he says, "'Cause it is cool." So anyway, suddenly his mask just melts off. We still don't know how exactly his costume works. It's symbiotic, it seems, but it reveals his face, which he didn't want to have happen. And Goblin reveals his face and he says, "Hi, I'm Harry." So we got Harry Osborn and Peter. A real nice panel of them just staring each other down in the rubble. He says, "You want to get a drink, maybe talk about it?" He says, "Sure." So that leads us into our next issue, which this issue was all action. And for contrast, this issue is almost no action. It's almost kind of funny. It's all basically just this dinner date with MJ and Peter, and they meet up with Harry. He says, "Sorry I'm late." And they start just chit-chatting. He says, "Here she is now, my wife." And we get Gwen Stacy. So they all meet and they start talking. This is still Marco Checchetto on art. And, oh no, I'm sorry, it's David Messina. This is a guest artist. I could hardly tell, but they've given him an interesting scene here. He basically just keeps doing all these 9-panel scenes as they have a conversation, trying to get to know each other. And the other subplot here we got going on is JJ and Ben figuring out the name for their paper, and they finally figured out they're going to call it The Paper, which was an idea given to them by Peter's daughter May. And we get back to Harry and Gwen, and they say The Paper. Sounds great. So Peter's let them know about the name of the paper too, and Harry says, you know, having a paper in New York City is kind of tricky because it's a closed system. You'll see. Which is probably got to do with what Green Goblin was, wandering around about. And anyway, so keeps going here, the 9-panel. I almost thought this whole comic, when I glanced at it at first, it was all just 9-panel pages, which actually, if it was, I thought that would have been pretty great. Not every page is 9 panels, though. We get the subplot, which isn't. So the girls, they go to the bathroom, and Gwen says that she's got a bunch of money that she could give MJ and Peter for the paper. So, and then Peter asks Harry if he's told Gwen, which he has told Gwen, about his alter identity. And of course, Peter hasn't told Mary Jane. He's keeping secrets from her. And finally, it all comes down to Harry delivering the big line to Peter: "With great power comes great responsibility." It's such a gift, but only if you use it. So we don't even get Spider-Man in this whole 4th issue. It's just this dinner date, pretty much. And Peter and MJ leave, and he says, "So what'd you think?" They were kind of, Peter says, actually a little scary. So they're a bit intimidated by Gwen and Harry. And he says, "What do I need heroes for, Peter? I've got you." So he still hasn't told her yet, or maybe she's slowly figuring it out, but that's where we leave it. Really nice art here by David Messina. I gotta say again, I couldn't even really tell that it was a new artist. He's got great backgrounds and great expressions throughout the conversation. Really keeps you engaged. So another great issue here. This series so far has been 4 out of 4. So if you haven't been reading it, I suggest check it out if you can. Got some other comics here I'm going to be looking at pretty soon. Doctor Strange, Fall Sunrise #1. I've got Spawn #300. And I'm going to look at an early comic of mine that I bought, Punisher 2000 #6. 2099 #6. So if you like the video so far, man, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one.